The story began in a dark, eerie forest where rain dripped steadily through the leaves. Deep within that forest stood a group of knights, fully armed and alert. Their leader had already impaled a vampire on his sword, and he demanded to know whether the creature had enjoyed hiding for half a year. The knight grinned as he told the vampire that he had killed plenty in the meantime. Calling the vampire a filthy beast, he said it had been clever to toy with the holy knights, but its role ended there. He said the creature looked like it had dressed up as Robin Hood, and from this point on, neither God nor Batman would forgive it. As he dragged his sword out of the vampire's body, he said the monster should take pride in dying at the hands of the vampire slayer for deceiving the church and rejecting the judgment of the holy knights. Its twisted, ugly form, he said, was proof of all its sins. The knight thought, "Fine, let me tell him the truth." He revealed that the reason they hadn't captured the vampire earlier was deliberate. They had joined the pursuit late, letting the creature run wild and feel like the main character on purpose. Since a vampire hadn't appeared in a long time, they needed to take things slow and stylish, also to send a warning to unbelievers. Robin Wood, as the vampire called himself, was furious. He had known from the beginning that this world was ruled by the strong. Everything was decided by power, no matter one's will. That was why he ran. But his escape attempt held no meaning. He was sliced cleanly in half. As his consciousness faded, he wondered if his entire idea had been absurd. The holy knight smiled and said the church was mocked by every existence that tried to defy it, and the vampire was no exception. Like every regression story, Robin Wood found himself thinking nonsense in his final moments, wondering what he would do if he had one more chance, blah blah blah. Then he woke up. Still Robin Wood, still screaming, still breathing hard. He found himself inside what looked like a cave. His neck and limbs were intact, completely untouched. He wondered why he was alive at all. Looking around, he realized it wasn't a cave, but the same tent he had lived in before the holy knights began chasing him. He noticed the calendar he had carved into the wall in his distinct handwriting. The date was from half a year ago, right before the hunting squad started pursuing him. As he stood up, a single thought crossed his mind, a line we readers had heard countless times. Could it be that I went back to the past? He clenched his fists, wondering if this truly was a second chance. The forest he stood in was a remote place near Broadwyn, a village humans rarely visited. He had once lived here in hiding, staying out of human sight. Back then, he had been too weak to reveal himself. Hilton, or rather Eugene, his true name, had survived only by suppressing his presence like a frightened animal. As a feeble vampire, he barely made it through each day. He had never craved human blood, but once, long ago, instinct took over. That single moment became his downfall. The next day, mercenaries flooded the forest. 5 days later, holy knights were patrolling the entire village. After months, then a year of running, they eventually found him no matter where he hid. Terrified, he retreated deeper into the forest and lived off animal blood for 12 years. Now, in the present, or rather the past he had somehow returned to, he sprinted through the forest, unable to understand how he had come back. But one thing mattered more than anything else. He had been given another chance, and he would not repeat his mistakes. He reasoned that simply holding his breath could kill him. Then he had no choice but to become strong enough that even if they found him, they could not kill him. Standing before a swamp, he declared that his survival strategy would change completely. The swamp began to bubble. He reminded himself that vampires could gain power by drinking blood, and the stronger the owner of that blood, the greater the power gained. As he said this, a massive creature burst out of the swamp, the master of the forest. It tried to devour him instantly. He barely escaped, running by pure luck. When he collapsed to the ground, he realized that with his current weak body, dodging the monster's attacks was all he could do. But he had a thought. If I can even slightly injure it, I can drink its blood. Until now, he had survived by minimizing his presence, but since that strategy had clearly failed, he saw no reason to hesitate anymore. More than anyone or anything, he needed power. He charged at the six-eyed giant crocodile. His strike did nothing, not even a scratch on its scales.
The creature's casual movement shattered his sword, sending fragments scattering. Eugene was left in complete confusion. He had expected to be thrown into the air dramatically, like in all those heroic stories. Instead, he was swatted aside like an insect, bouncing across the ground like a badly thrown ball. He finally crashed to a halt, a fatal wound tearing across his stomach. As he opened his eyes, the monster didn't even give him time to breathe. It lunged toward him, eager to make him a quick snack. He wondered whether he had underestimated the power of the roamers, creatures that wandered freely through the wild. Unlike monsters confined to demonic regions, roamers carried their strength with them everywhere. Some even possessed magic stones, despite living in areas with no mana at all. Stones that were more valuable than any gem or gold.
For creatures like the roamers, magic stones were essential. Eugene knew that if he could obtain even one, he might be able to turn the situation around. But the difference in strength between him and the monster in front of him was extreme. He wondered if he had completely underestimated the opportunity he'd been given. A roamer who ruled the entire forest could have ended his life instantly, before he even managed to scratch it. But somehow, he was still breathing.
The giant crocodile dragged him toward its favorite spot in the swamp, plunging him into the water with a massive explosion. Half of Eugene's body was already inside the creature's mouth when he finally regained clear thought. He realized that since he had been granted one second chance, perhaps another would come. But he crushed that idea before it could root itself. He knew he wasn't the type to overestimate himself. That was exactly why he used to crawl and swallow his breath just to survive. Yet now he chose to fight, simply to live. With desperate resolve, he bit down hard on the monster's tongue. "Fight to live," the words echoed in his mind. Mystical symbols began to appear across his skin. His body mass increased, his muscles tightening, and his hair grew long and wild. He thought to himself that if he couldn't win now, there would be no next chance. After defeat, there was nothing. He clawed through the monster's tongue, absorbing its life energy until he reached its core. Stretching out his hand at first, then reconsidering, he lunged forward with his mouth instead. His vampiric fangs extended and pierced the core directly. As he devoured it, he understood a brutal truth. Survival meant standing on the blood of others. Above the dark swamp, the moon reflected quietly on the water until the entire swamp erupted again. This time, the explosion was caused by the vampire himself. He roared that if he were ever granted another chance, he would choose the path of fighting, never fleeing again. The remains of the mighty crocodile fell from the sky like bloody rain. Robin Wood, looking unexpectedly badass, declared that he now claimed both blood and victory.